Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. At that moment, Hedwig swooped into the room carrying a very small package in her beak. "Hello," said Harry happily, as she landed in his bed. "Are you speaking to me again?" She nibbled his ear in an affectionate sort of way, which was as far better present than that one which she had brought him, which turned out to be from the Dursleys. They had sent Harry a toothpick and a note telling him to find out whether he'd be able to stay at Hogwarts for the summer holidays too. The rest of Harry's Christmas presents were far more satisfactory. Hagrid had sent him a large tin of trickled fudge, which Harry decided to soften by the fire before eating. Ron had given him a book called Flying with the Cannons, a book of interesting facts about his favorite Quidditch team, and Hermione had brought him a luxury eagle feather quill. Harry opened the last present to find a new hand-knitted jumper from Mrs. Weasley, a large plum cake. He put up her cart with a fresh surge of guilt, thinking about Mr. Weasley's car, which had been since its crash with a whooping wind. He brought rule breaking. He and Ron were playing dance. No one, not even someone dreading taking Polyjuice potion later, could fail to enjoy Christmas dinner at Hogwarts. The great hall looked magnificent. Not only there were a dozen frost-covered Christmas trees and thick streamers of holly and mistletoe crisscrossing the ceiling, but enchanted snow was falling, warm and dry, from the ceiling. Dumbledore led them in a few of his favorite carols, Hagrid booming more and more loudly with every goblet of ale had consumed. Percy, who hadn't noticed that Fred had bewitched his prefect badge so that it showed real pinhead, kept asking them all they were sniggering at. Harry didn't even care what Draco Malfoy was making loud, snide remarks about his new jumper from the Slytherin table. With a bit of luck, Malfoy could be getting his home hub appearance in a few hours' time. Harry and Ron had barely finished their third helpings of Christmas spinning when Hermione assured them to finalize their plans for everything. We still need a bit of the poor people you're changing into, said Hermione, matter of fact, as though she was sending them to the supermarket for washing powder. And obviously, it would be the best if you can get something of Crabbe and Goyle's. They are Malfoy's best friends. He'll tell them anything. And we also need to make sure the real Crabbe and Goyle can't burst in on us while we are navigating here. I've got it all worked out, she spelled smoothly, ignoring Harry and Ron's suspended faces. She held up 2 plump chocolate cakes. I filled this with simple sleeping draught. All you have to do is make sure Crabbe and Goyle find them. You know how greedy they are. They're bound to eat them once they are asleep. Pull out a few of their hairs and hide them in a boom cupboard. Harry and Ron looked incredulously at each other. Hermione, I don't think that could do seriously wrong. But Hermione had a steely glint in their eye, not unlike the other Professor McGonagall sometimes had. The potion will be useless without Crabbe and Goyle's hair, she said sternly. You do want to investigate Malfoy, don't you? Oh, all right, said Harry. But what about you? Those hairs are you ripping off? I've already got mine, said Hermione brightly, pulling a tiny bottle of her pocket and showing them the single hair inside it. Remember Millicent Rhodes wrestling with me at the dueling club? She left this on my rose when she was trying to strangle me, and she's got it home for Christmas, so I will just have to tell the Slytherins I've decided to come back. When Hermione had stood off to check the Polyjuice potion again, Ron turned to Harry with a doom-landed expression. Have you ever heard of a plan where so many things could go wrong? But Harry and Ron's utter amazement, the stage of the operation went just as smoothly as Hermione had said. They looked at the deserted entrance hall after Christmas tea, waiting for Crabbe and Goyle, who had remained alone at the Slytherin table, shoving around for sleeping, helping, and Ryle. Harry had perched the chocolate cakes on the end of the banisters. Then when they spotted Crabbe and Goyle coming out of the great hall, Harry and Ron hid quickly behind a suit of armor next to the front door. How thick can you get? Ron whispered ecstatically, as Crabbe gleefully pointed out the cakes to Goyle and cracked them. Grinning stupidly, they stuffed the cakes whole into the large mouths. For a moment, both of them chewed greedily, looks of the triumph on their faces. Then, without the smallest change of expression, they both keeled over backwards on the floor. Much the more difficult bit was hiding them in the cupboard across the hall. Once they were safely stowed amongst the buckets and mops, Harry unearthed a couple of bristles that covered Goyle's forehead, and Ron pulled out several of Crab's hairs. He also stole their shoes, because their own were far too small for Crab and Goyle's 5 feet. Then, still stunned at what they had just done, they sprinted up to Moaning Merchant's muffler. They could hardly see for the thick-backed smoke issuing from the subsicle which Hermione was twigging the cauldron. Pulling their robes up over their faces, Harry and Ron knocked softly on the floor. Hermione? They heard the scrape of a lock and Hermione emerged, shiny-faced and looking anxious. Behind her, they were the gloob-gloob of the bubbling, trickle-trick potion. 3 glass and tumblers stood ready on the toilet seat. Did you get them? Hermione asked breathlessly. Harry showed her Goyle's hair. Good. And exiting this pair road south of the laundry, Hermione said, holding up a small sack. You'll need bigger sizes once you're Crab and Goyle. The 3 of them stared into the cauldron. Close up, the potion looked like thick, dark moss, bubbling sluggishly. I'm sure I've done everything right, said Hermione, nervously rereading the sparked page of Small's Potenti potions. It looks like the book says it should. Once we've drunk it, we have exactly an hour before we change back into ourselves. Now what? Ron whispered. We separated into 3 glasses and add their hairs. Hermione landed large dollops of the potion into each of the glasses. Then, her hand tremblingly shook Millicent Burstall's hair out of its bottle into the first glass. The potion hissed loudly like a boiling kettle and floated madly. A second later, it had turned a sickly sort of yellow. A sense of Millicent Bustroad, said Ron, eyeing with it floating. But it tastes disgusting. Add yours then, said Hermione. Harry dropped Goyle's hair into the middle glass and Ron put Crab's into the last one. Both glasses hissed and frothered. Goyle's turned a khaki color of groggy, grapes a dark, murky brown. Hang on, said Harry as Ron and Hermione reached for the glasses. We'd better not all drink them in here. Once we turn into Crab and Goyle, we won't fit, and Millicent Bulstrode's is not Pixie. Good thinking, said Ron and looked in the door. We'll take separate subsections. Careful not to spill a drop of this Polyjuice potion. Harry slipped into the middle subsequel. Ready? He called. Ready, came Ron and Hermione's voices. 1, 2, 3. Pitching this voice, Harry drank the potion down in 2 large gulps. It tasted like overlooked garbage. Immediately, his insides started writhing as though he'd just swallowed live snakes. Doubled up, he wondered whether he was going to be sick. Then a burning sensation spread rapidly from his stomach to the very ends of his fingers and toes. Next, bringing his gasp into all fours, came a horrible venting feeling. And the skin over his body bubbled like hot wax, and before its eyes, his hand began to grow. The fingers thickened, the nails burned up, and the knuckles were bloody like bolts. His shoulders stretched painfully, and the pricking of the forehead told him that hair was creeping down towards the eyebrows. His robe stripped as his chest expanded like a barrel rushed in its hoops. His feet were agony in shoes 4 sizes too small. As suddenly it had started, everything stopped. Harry lay face down on the cold stone floor, listening to Myrtle gurgling harmlessly in the young toilet. With difficulty, he got off his shoes and stood up. So this was what it felt like, being Goyle. His large hands trembling, he pulled off his old robes, which were ending a foot about his ankles, pulled on the spare ones, and laced up Goyle's both, like shoes. He reached up to brush his hair out of his eyes, and met only the short growth of wiry bristles, lowered his forehead. Then he realized that his glasses were clouding in his eyes, because Goyle obviously didn't need them. He looked them off and called, "Are you two okay?" Goyle's slow rest voice ushered from his mouth. "Yeah," came the deep grunt of Crab from his right. Harry unlocked his door and stepped in front of the cracked mirror. Goyle started back at him out of dulled, deep-set eyes. Harry scratched his head. So did Goyle. Ron's door opened. They stared at each other, except that he looked pale and shocked. One was indistinguishable from Craig, from putting Bessie haircut to the long gorilla arms. "This is unbelievable," said Ron, approached the mirror and clawed in Crab's flat nose. "Unbelievable." "We'd better get going," said Harry, who, loosening the watch that was cut into Goyle's thick wrist. "We're so good to find out where the slithering common room is. I only hope we can find someone to follow." Ron, who had been gazing at Harry, said, "You don't know how bristle it is to see Goyle thinking." He banged on Hermione's door. "Come on, we need to go." A high-pitched voice answered, "I don't think I'm going to come after all." You go on without me. Hermione, we don't feel so just too ugly. No one is going to know it's you. No, really, I don't think Elle will come. You two hurry up. You're wasting time. Harry looked at Ron, bewildered. That looks more like Goyle, said Ron. That's how he looks every time a teacher asks him questions. Hermione, are you okay? Said Harry through the door.